Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm Jessica Williams. We have a jammed-packed show for you, so let's get started. Today, I'm so thrilled to introduce to you a very healthy beverage called kombucha. I visit Lunar Infusions Kombucha Brewery, learn all about the health benefits, and sample this aesthetically pleasing drink. Then the Nielsen Memorial Gardens joins me to share on the important topic of preparedness for families. And later, we learn all about aquatic therapy from Summit Physical Therapy. That and more happening now.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
I'm at Lunar Infusions Brewery and Tap Room located in Whitley. They specialize in craft kombucha, which is a specialized tea that's carbonated and filled with health benefits. I'm so excited to learn about it today. Come on. Joining me now is the owner of Lunar Infusions, Sarah Trombley. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
Welcome. Good. How are you?
Thank you. Doing very well. And look at this. I have to show you guys. We're at a kombucha bar. How fun is this? And you specialize in making kombucha, and you started such an innovative business out here in Whitley County. Yes. So share with me about Lunar Infusions.
So it started off as kombucha, which is still my main product. Kombucha, a lot of people are still unfamiliar with. It's a fermented tea drink. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of made in the same way that like beer and wine is made, but it's not alcoholic.
Right.
So it actually has some health benefits. Mm-hmm. It's low in sugar, it has probiotics, and it's so it's like kind of good for gut health. So
right, yeah. Yes. So I have been drinking kombucha forever because it is so healthy. Like it just really makes your digestive tract flow better.
Yep.
You feel good on the inside, and it's so pretty and sparkly. So and it's non-alcoholic, so you can enjoy it and then feel good at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I found out about your business, the fact that you made a bar out of it and that you offer it on tap, you can make flights and all that. I was like, wow, this is healthy fun. So with this being such an innovative way to offer this product through your tap, what made you start the brewery?
So it was a natural progression. So when I first started, I was renting commercial kitchen space in Fort Wayne, producing everything there, which was a great place to start, test my recipes, see if people would actually like it. Took it to the farmer's market. The farmer's market was my main thing, especially in the beginning. I guess I met so many people there. This will be my 6th year going into the farmer's market, and there's just been so much support for it. So I can tell it's something that people are interested in and would really like. So I did the brewery here just so that I could produce more. I had limited space at the shared commercial kitchen, so it's nice to have my own space where I can produce everything and just kind of have everything the way I like it. And then it's nice to have the retail area so people can come in, try it, fill their bottles, because we do refillable bottles, and do flights. So I guess it was just a natural progression.
Yes, that's so awesome. And so you are a herbalist, right? Yeah. And you specialize in just really compounding different types of natural roots into a form that people can digest, right? So through the kombucha, and then I also know that you have your tincture products. How did you even start down this path? It's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, I guess it started, I've always had an affinity for natural things, natural health, wellness, plants. And when I lived in California, I did an herbalism program there, and I just really got immersed in it, in that world. And then I also started fermenting stuff kind of around the same time I started herbalism. I was interested in, I would buy kombucha too, and I was just curious, how does it work? So I got this book called Fermentation for Beginners, and I started with kombucha, and then I started doing other fermented foods. And then I kind of combined the herbalism and the kombucha together. Like I would do herbal formulated kombucha, which nobody was really doing back then. That's kind of where the name Lunar Infusions come from. Actually, Lunar Infusions is it's an herbalist term for like tea that's made under the moonlight. So
okay, very fun. Well, I love it. You offer so many different kombucha tap options in addition to other things on her menu. So you know we're going to give it a taste to taste these different infusions. I'm super excited about it. But let's walk around. I'm curious to see your setup.
Okay, let's do it.
So Sarah, this area, we are back in the brewery side. What are these containers called?
So these are the fermenters.
Okay.
So this is where all the kombucha is made. These are 55-gallon fermenters, and we have 16 of them. So
very nice.
Yeah.
So share with me about the process of making it.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So I have a kettle over there where I heat up water. So it's also a 55-gallon kettle. So I make a giant batch of sweet tea. So I also add like organic cane sugar, and the sugar is not for us, the sugar is for the microbes. So kombucha is full of bacteria and yeast, and that's what does the fermentation. So once the sweet tea is made, we transfer it over to these tanks, and then we inoculate it with a culture. So kind of the same way that like a yogurt culture ferments milk to make yogurt, kombucha culture ferments kombucha, so sweet tea. Yeah. So it's in these tanks for about 30 days. And during that time, the bacteria and yeast are eating the sugar and turning it into different healthy acids and different components that are good for us. And then after that, we flavor it, and then we put it into kegs.
Okay, so it's a base of tea. So is kombucha caffeinated?
There actually is no caffeine in ours. So initially the tea that we make is weaker. It's not quite as strong as like a cup of tea that you would make at home.
Okay.
And then also during the fermentation process, the yeast use the caffeine as like an energy source. So it breaks down the caffeine. So it might be more equivalent to like a cup of decaf coffee.
Decaf, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so I'm so fascinated. Like I really want to stress the health benefits here.
Yeah.
Because I know that kombucha does a lot. I mean, we have supplements that you need probiotic and prebiotic, and you eat yogurt to have those live cultures in you. And so share with me why the probiotic and the live cultures is important for your digestive system.
Yeah, absolutely. So we evolved as humans eating fermented foods, and fermented foods were traditionally a way that we preserved food so that it lasted longer.
Okay.
So we evolved with eating all this bacteria and yeast or whatever from other foods. So kombucha is the same as like raw sauerkraut or like a raw kimchi, and that it has all those living cultures in it. So it's just a living food, kind of like anything else. And kombucha is super healthy. It helps you digest your food. It helps you to assimilate your nutrition, and it just helps you feel better. But I always like to stress too that it's a food and not medicine. So yeah, sometimes people think you have to dose it out and just take little shots of kombucha, and you don't have to do that. It's a beverage. You can enjoy a whole glass of it
every day.
Every day.
Okay,
I do.
Yeah. And you have the flavors. You have the good flavors here. And you mentioned about sauerkraut, and so one thing that I find fascinating is that you actually offer it here and you sell it. So let's look at it and let's talk about it. Okay. As you can see, there are different fermented sauerkraut that's made here. So what made you make sauerkraut?
I like it because you kind of have to understand what's happening, like what's happening during the fermentation, so kind of the science side of it. And you can also kind of make it an art form and get creative with the flavors and stuff. So I like the fact that it's an art and a science.
It is. I like the way you said that. Okay, so I'm so excited to try out this full selection of sauerkraut here at Lunar Infusions and also taste their kombucha on tap. It's going down. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll be right back.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group.
Losing a loved one can be a very difficult thing. So today we're going to break down the topic and learn more resources. I am so excited to have Nelson Memorial Gardens here, the owner, Victoria and Victor Nelson. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm really excited to learn more because I feel like this is a topic that isn't discussed much because it is a challenging topic. So let's start off with sharing about your funeral home.
Nelson Memorial Gardens was established actually in 2008. We did our first service in 2009. Unfortunately for me, one of the first services that we directed was actually my father. With that being the case, it gave me a better sense of the grieving process for the families that we serve. But we are in the building that was formerly Michaud Funeral Home, which was the first African-American owned funeral home in Fort Wayne. They were first opened in 1925. And then, like I said, in 2009, we started doing services there. So that's how we were started.
Okay, and so you all have been around for 14 years,
Yes.
serving this community. And so share with me a bit about your services that you offer.
Okay. The first thing I want to share is that Nelson Memorial Gardens, the name was actually established to pay homage to the ones that came before us: Liz Dobbins, Reverend Latham, Mike Joyner Sr. These are people that kind of led the way and paved the way for us. But the services that we provide are at-need services, funeral services, pre-need funeral services, grief counseling. We try to start with seminars, trying to help people with the grieving process through seminars. We'd like to do more groups where we have dads that have lost children, so that they're in a group specifically for themselves, or women that have lost children, or children that have lost parents, so that those specific groups can kind of feed off of each other, and help each other through the grieving process, not in a solemn way, but in a way that they can continue to celebrate the life that was lived of their loved one, but also to kind of, like I said, feed off of each other.
Right. And, this is something that people have to think about in advance, because an unfortunate situation can happen at any time. And we try to prepare our viewers in different ways, from financial advice and getting things ready to prep if something happens, but also making these plans in advance can be very beneficial to the entire family and the loved ones that are left behind. So can you share a little bit about why taking these steps are important and things that people can do in advance to start planning?
Absolutely. Again, like you said, it's very important. And we unfortunately, so many people put prearranging their funerals at the last of their list, but it's the first thing that happens when you are born. You begin to die, on that journey to your last days. Whether you live to be a year old or 100 years old, we know definitely that we'll pass away, unfortunately. But to prepare for that is just a matter of sitting down with the funeral service professional, putting your wishes on paper. And it's that simple, to actually say, hey, this is what I like, this is what I can afford, because I think that's a huge part of it. People are afraid of the financial part of the prearrangement process. And but the more important thing is to get their information on paper so that their family and other loved ones would know what their wishes are.
Yes. Okay. And I know that through the process of helping people, there's a lot of support that's needed emotionally, right? And I know that, Victoria, you offer a service, a nonprofit that helps with grievance counseling. So can you share more about that amazing representation that you give the community in that way?
Yes, so Favor Grace Unlimited, how that came about was me helping hubby in the funeral services, and then we wanted to do more. Okay. It's like, honey, we're doing all we can to get the families through this process, but there's so much more that they need after that. So I kind of felt like we were just leaving them in a state and they were not okay. So that's really when, after you've buried your loved one or whatever service you choose, then you have a new life that begins that you know not of. You don't know what that looks like, and where do you go for help? So we wanted to do more after the fact. So that's how Favor Grace Unlimited came, and thank you, hubby, for supporting that. Right now, we're supported by Nelson Memorial Gardens, and we're looking for partners to come and join with us to help people in an array of areas. So every family dynamic is different. So the needs of the families are different. It could be counseling. Counseling is huge. A lot of families will not go to an organization or a building for counsel, but is there counseling that will come to the families and help them, especially when they have lost someone due to homicide, suicide, or a child? That is unbearable. What do you do? So if we can have someone to come and talk to them and help them, give them some tools on what they could do. Also, a lot of families, they don't know how to close an estate. So they'll call the funeral home and say, what do we do? And so there are so many things, even as far as families who, when you bring all that food over to the house, well, they're going to need somebody to clean that food out because they're not ready to, clean out that refrigerator, all that food that was brought. So there's so many different areas that families need help for long term.
Right.
to come.
That's awesome. That's so great. And so if someone is interested in learning more and reaching out, if they have questions or just want to learn about each of the services broken down more, where can they go?
Well, you can go to our website, which is nelsonmemorialgardens.com. You can give us a call always, 24 hours a day, 260-422-5577. And then most certainly you can go to favoritgraceunlimited.com as well. And we have, like my wife said, different partners that are listed that can assist with those things, or we can direct you into, to their offices or give you their numbers or contact information to assist with whatever your need is, grief counseling, as my wife said, financial support. And then, like I said, we'll even go as far as, hey, you know what? You need your grass cut. We're there for you either way. So those are things that Favorite Grace is willing to do.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Victoria and Victor, for coming in and sharing about your business. And we always want to expect the unexpected. So right now is the best time to prepare. If you would like more information, we'll be sure to have their website listed below, and we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Summit Physical Therapy. Aquatic therapy is an excellent option on its own or for patients who may not have good success with traditional land-based therapy. So joining me today to discuss more is Andreas, owner of Summit Physical Therapy, and Gretchen, who is a senior physical therapist. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
How are
Yourself?
you?
Doing wonderful, thank you. Good to see you. And so Andreas, let's start off by giving us an overview about Summit Physical Therapy.
So we started Summit Physical Therapy in 2006. We have since grown to 2 locations. We now have a location on the south end of town on the corner of Ingle and Jefferson, and our other location is on Lima Road across from Myers. And that's where we do the aquatic therapy.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to dive into aquatic therapy, but I think the biggest question is, what is that? What is aquatic therapy? Is that in the water moving? That's my guess.
So aquatic therapy is basically a modality that we can use utilizing the water and the special properties that it has. The patient is in the pool with us, and we can do exercise, we can do some manual-based therapy, but anything that we can utilize to help the patient to be able to get better functional gain.
Okay, and so tell me about just some of the benefits of aquatic therapy.
So with aquatic therapy, we can use the special properties that are in water. There's buoyancy that we can use to help kind of hold people up. That's really good for helping to reduce pain. It helps to take pressure off of particularly the lower extremity joints, so people with back pain, knee pain, hip pain, ankle pain. It can help them to learn how to walk again without a limp. It can help them learn how to gain strength and better movement in an environment that's a little bit more friendly than maybe on land.
When people start off with aquatic, the goal is to get them to move on a land-based level. How long is that therapy process?
Well, it really depends upon kind of what brings them to us to begin with. We can continue with aquatic-based therapy kind of through their treatment. It can be short if the person is somebody who can get an idea of the exercises and wants to continue on their own at like the Y or another facility. They can certainly do that. So we can see people for just 2 or 3 weeks. We can see them for a longer period of time if it's something that requires a longer recovery period. So we try to make sure that we tailor that to the individual needs of the patient and the problems that they present with, because some people's problems are simple and some people's problems are a lot more complex.
Right. Okay. So it's so great. It's a custom plan.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
really walks them through it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I know that you brought in some items to show us, and I'm so curious as to what they are. So
Right.
please share more.
Okay, so one of the benefits that we have with doing the aquatic therapy is we can utilize, again, the properties of the water itself. So the resistance of the water. So these activities or these pieces of equipment we can utilize with that. The bell here and then the paddle are both to increase surface area, so that increases resistance. So as we're trying to progress somebody through maybe just being able to move their arms through the water, this will help to make that harder because it increases the surface area and increases the tension. This would be something that they would hold on like so, and then they could move their arm through the water. This is relatively complex. This is a lot easier. So we can even adjust it so that if it's closed, it's more resistance. If it's open, it's less resistance, knowing that everybody comes to us at a different level, right? We utilize pool noodles. We didn't bring that in. We figured everybody knows what a pool noodle is, but
Right.
we have little buoy barbells. This utilizes kind of the buoyancy. So just as buoyancy can help lift us up, we can also use buoyancy in having to try to push it down in the water. That's good for helping with core strength. It's good for helping with upper extremity strength as well.
Yes, oh wow, that's so great. And so, though this is a therapy, would this also be great just for personal strength building?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And what we really want to try to do with physical therapy in general is give people an idea of what they can do to help themselves, obviously, because the patient is their own best practitioner. They're with themselves all the time. So if we can give them the tools, they can fly with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And so, Andreas, as someone is entering into trying to figure out their next steps after an illness or an injury, and they're like, which therapy is best for me? It's best for them to do what first? To book a consultation to really, so that you can evaluate their needs?
Yeah, I mean, if people have questions and they're not really sure if they qualify for land-based therapy, or if they're ready for it, maybe after an injury or a surgery, they can certainly give us a call. I mean, if there was a surgery, there's probably already a physician involved who hopefully gives them some advice. But we always offer free screens, so if somebody isn't ready to make that commitment, saying, yeah, I want to come in for therapy, they can come in and we will evaluate them. Basically just letting them know, here's what we feel like we can do for you. Are you a good candidate for either land-based or, aquatic therapy?
Okay, well, wonderful. Andreas, always good to see you. Gretchen, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And if you would like more information about Summit Physical Therapy, we'll have their website listed below, and we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Summit Physical Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'll leave you with this. You get what you focus on, so focus on what you want. Make it a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday. Bye-bye.
Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.